The Tuscobia State Trail runs over 70 miles from Park Falls to Highway 53 just south of Haugen. The Tuscobia follows the old Chicago, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Omaha line. This line was built in pieces following the growth, then the demise of the lumber industry in Wisconsin. The line was taken over by Chicago and Northwestern in the early 20th century, but by 1965 was fully abandoned. Development as a recreational trail began in 1968, just 1 year after the Elroy-Sparta Trail became the nation's first rail trail.
That is both a liberating sight and a daunting sight, all at the same time. The trail just goes and goes and goes.
While designated a shared use trail, ATVs and snowmobiles lay claim to all but 9 miles of this gravel path through the Northwoods.
Hey there, trekkers. Welcome to the Tuscobia State Trail on what is a very dark and gloomy and damp Saturday, January 27th, 2024. It's a little bit after 9 o'clock in the morning. Got started at 7:50 right on the button, and we are about 2.5 miles down the trail west of Park Falls. Today's hike is going to be an out and back, about 15, 16 miles of trail, with a little bit of back and forth with the camera, of course. Figured today would be a really good opportunity to take on this trail. There's hardly any snow on the ground, so the snowmobiles won't be on the trail, which they normally are. ATVs aren't allowed on this section of the trail here in Price County during the winter, so it made it perfect for hiking, sort of. The snow that is on the trail is very soupy and very slick, and the gravel is uneven and muddy. But it's been a pretty decent walk so far, just going to be a little tough on the knees. It sure feels like it wants to rain. It's not supposed to, but I have a feeling that we're going to see a little bit of drizzle, and it's just very damp. Not too cold. It's right around freezing, maybe a degree below, and it's only supposed to get a degree or two above freezing for the whole day. So it's going to be foggy, and it's going to be damp. Not a bad day. Some nice little views along the trail, deep into the forest. So let's go. And while most of the land around the trail is private, and there's a lot of sounds of human activity, there's still a lot of forest on both sides, and it's still some nice views. So most of this part of the Tuscobia Trail is bounded by private property on both sides. Pretty much all the way, well, not pretty much, but all the way to the county line, about 12 miles from Park Falls. Where we're at right now, we're just starting in a section where it's owned by the Tuscobia State Trail. Acres and acres of it. And off that direction, which is due east, there's a substantial amount that goes almost all the way back to the dog park, with the exception of a sizable chunk of what used to be farmland that's owned by a husband and wife. I contacted the DNR, and the guy basically RTFM'd me, told me, I don't know, look online. But asked if, the notion is that the trail would eventually be rerouted from this spot to go that direction all the way into the park, rather than dead ending at the trailer park with no parking. Just some tracks along the way here. Raccoon and a tiny deer. Neat. This is neat. If it wasn't for the constant line of vehicles right there on County B, this would be idyllic. And there's a track I am not at all familiar with. For perspective, it's about that big. Just about to cross Omaha Road, and just down this road, it says a mile, it's a little less than that, is Smith Lake County Park. got a nice campground, small campground, a really nice shelter, a small beach boat launch, and I think about 75, 76 acres of lake. Not a bad place to stop and visit. I've stopped there to kind of take a break on a nice sunny day a couple times. There you go, stale bread and fresh tuna. Farmhouse right here, old farmhouse. And as I was sitting down taking a break just after I'd just put my pack on, the landowner at this old farmhouse popped out of the woods with his dog and quite bluntly asked me, "What the hell are you doing here?" It was more like, "The hell are you doing here?" Just told him, taking a hike, and it was all cool. He's telling me that straight down this way is a small lake, Gardner Lake. And, well, it precipitated. I told him I thought this is really pretty. You know, it's a lot of private property, but really nice forest and really nice sedge meadows. He's like, yeah, we're proud of all that kind of thing. But he was saying Gardner Lake down there, it's now bounded by private property, houses on it. And he had mentioned that when he was a kid, they lived just down the way here. And he said as kids, they would go to Gardner Lake all the time and hop in there and play around. And he knew people owned the lake and owned the land, but they weren't there. They lived somewhere else, so they'd go play around. And that would have been he was a little bit younger than me, so it would have been the 1970s probably, early 1980s. And from what I can see now, he says now you can't go down there because somebody lives in the house full time. He's like, well, there's multiple houses, but yeah, time passes. Kaiser Road. So at this point, we are 4.3 measured trail miles in. We're actually probably around 5.5 total miles, but it is 3 miles straight down that way to our turnaround point for today. Up Kaiser Road, you can see how it takes a turn, and then it turns again, and then it ends up hitting County E. There is a crossroads named Kaiser, and I'm curious what the history of that was, because a lot of these little crossroads that have names now, where there's just a house or two, well, they used to be railroad stops. Or old lumber camps, and there would have been a store there or something like that. And I asked the guy that popped out and surprised me, I asked him what he knew about Kaiser, because he lived on this road as a kid, and he said as far as he ever knows, the whole time he's grown up, it's just been somebody's house. So I don't know, have to research that one. The Tuscobia crosses a number of these tertiary roads, such as Market Road here. And one of the things that I look for in a longer walking trail is where on earth I can park if I want to do it in sections, which that's the whole point here. And I have found that there's very little in the way of parking along the trail. As you can see here, there's none. There's no place you could take even a Jeep. I guess today I'm really fixated on the notion that this is all private property along the side of this trail. And that's fine. A lot of it's prime hunting land. Great place to get out, invite some people over, go hunt some animals. But what's really also interesting is how this land is owned. A good deal of it you'll see is in revocable trusts, life trusts, But what you also see is a lot of LLCs. But what they do is they buy this land as an LLC, and they hunt it and they lease it out for hunting. I just find that's kind of interesting. Most of all this land from this point we're at all the way to the county line is trusts and LLCs. Yeah, poor guy, local in a pickup truck with his snowblower in the back, comes driving past here, and I'm sitting out here with all my gear out here. He took a long, slow look. Here we got our snacks. We got a little mini Coke, the real stuff with sugar. This I found is Landjaeger with Door County cherries. It is superb. And some pepper jack cheese and some smoked baby Swiss. Yeah, buddy. All right, on our way back. Had a nice long break, well over a half an hour. Pretty hungry, ate quite a bit. And yeah, we got 9.3 miles on our feet and about, I think, probably around 7.7 trail miles. And that's gonna give us about another 6.5 miles that we still have yet to go to get back. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon, so I think we're looking at probably just after dark before we actually get back. That'll be kind of neat. Had a lady walk by with her dog, and she stops and looks at me from the road and starts walking my direction and says, "So, you out trekking?" Like, oh, it's awesome. Talked to her for about 10 minutes, and turns out last couple years her and a friend of hers have been really getting into thinking about getting into bike packing. And they've watched all the YouTube channels, popular ones. And yeah, now they both retired. They're gonna give it a go. She said she just got her first gravel bike. She's getting it all kitted out, and they got a couple trips planned for the spring. That was really good to hear, She said to me before she left, the last thing she said was, if I'm ever in a bad spot in my head, bad place in my head, I come out here and it's all gone. Look at this, footprints all over the place, going off into the woods. You'd almost think that somebody set up a camera over on that little stump right there. Jeez. Oh, yeah, we're right around 12 miles here. We just passed Kaiser Road about a half mile back. Means we're probably got about 4 miles left on the trail, barring any detours. And that's good. Day's going pretty well. Actually, day's going really well. Body is held up miraculously. I can't believe. I'm usually by now I have problems with at least one or two of my subsystems, but things are going pretty well, except I'm getting very tired. I'd hoped the food energy would have kicked in, but it just hasn't. I'm just tired and running out of gas. Thought about digging in the pack to put on the traction devices, but every time I do, I hit a spot that's not quite so bad and makes me rethink it, so I won't. It has definitely gotten a little bit darker out. It's about 10 after 4, and the sun is over that direction somewhere. Haven't seen that all day. The stated sunset is 4:58, so we're around about an hour away from darkness. And I think we're going to get back right about at that point.
On the way back, you try to look for those things that you missed. Your perspective is just a little different. But the mystery of the trail was earned earlier in the day. Now you're tired. Your shoulders drop, your eyes almost looking at your feet. But your thoughts are well ahead towards tomorrow's hike and your next everyday adventure.